Let's say Joe and Sally have been dating for 6 months, 9 months. They're at a point where they're really, at least one of them is really starting to consider marriage. What are some questions, call them pre-engagement questions, that they should be asking themselves and possibly their significant other at that point to help prepare and sift those emotions at that point?
Well, you've already earlier on hinted to some of that. Is am I interested in this relationship because I'm driving a sense of identity from it, or looking for a sense of identity from it? So, how much wholeness am I living in, quite apart from this person, is an issue. I think also many of those things that I mentioned in the previous question. What are this person's habits of life? What are their habits devotionally? What are their habits? How do they handle their money? Work experience and stability, and so you're looking for those, that kind of stability and so forth in this person. Because in some ways, Tyler, I think any two Christian people who love God should be able to be married together. I mean, we have this very hyper-romanticized view of marriage in America, but I've traveled a lot in India. I mean, young people in India, even Christian kids to this day, get married to people that they have not dated, and the divorce rate is very low compared to our country, because people get married and intend to stay married. And they figure we're going to have to learn to live together and learn to love one another and learn to, so I think probably those character issues are far more important than whether or not my heart goes pitter-patter.
What is that? That's something we frequently talk about with our college students, is that the biblical pattern of love is a choosing love, is that God didn't survey people and fall in love with a certain thing and then fall out of it, but he chose and he pursued, and it was his choice to love them for his sake. And if we take that and apply it to our relationships, oftentimes we, even in our language as Christians of how we fell in love, it assumes that there's this mystical thing that happens to us,
right.
And that we can then fall out of love. And there's not this, I love my wife because I chose to love her, and tomorrow I don't need to worry about falling out of love, because when I wake up, I'm going to choose to love my wife.
That's right.
How many Christians do you think are aware of that distinction between languages, and what's the impact of that?
Well, I think probably not enough. I mean, I think that an awful lot of people derive their ideas of love from, funny romantic comedies, and, the serendipity of meeting somebody and, and having your eyes meet and all that, rather than an intentional, thoughtful, purposeful kind of love. Because love is a verb. Love is something you decide to do, and you decide to love, and you determine, I'm going to love this person. I'm going to delight in them. I'm going to organize my life around being their partner. And in the context of that, the depth of relationship that develops is very beautiful. And it's not, because even people that fall in love and stay in love, there often is that superficiality of, well, we just happen to click, and boy, I'm glad I found you because I couldn't have loved anyone else, rather than a purposeful kind of love that says, I'm committed to you. And that's really what we see modeled in Christ.